She was so busy shopping Black Friday deals when her son screamed her name from the kitchen. And it wasn't the kind of scream a mother can ignore. It was sharp, terrified, pain-filled. The kind that hits your chest before your ears even process it. Mommy! Lilian's whole body locked up. Her phone slipped from her hand, bounced on the rug, and the screen lit up again with a new pop-up notification. The exact thing she had been obsessively chasing all morning. But she didn't see it. She didn't hear anything anymore. That scream pulled her heart straight out of whatever world of discount she had drowned herself in. She rushed towards the kitchen, still trying to make sense of the fear in David's voice. This wasn't a cry for attention. This wasn't him calling because he wanted her to see a cartoon. This was different. Something was wrong, very wrong. And the moment she stepped inside, her stomach dropped so fast she felt dizzy. David, her little boy, her chatterbox, her future chef, was standing there shaking. His small arm was bright red, swelling, shiny, and bubbling in places. He was crying so hard his voice cracked. Mommy, it hurts, it hurts. Everything inside her collapsed at once. Jesus, David! She grabbed him, not even sure where to touch first. Her hands trembled like they weren't hers. Her breath came out in short, panicked puffs. Jesus, David, why? He pointed with his good hand at the kettle on the floor. I just wanted to make tea. You were busy. I didn't want to disturb you. Those words stabbed deeper than the scream. You were busy. She knew exactly what that meant. Busy doing absolutely nothing that mattered. Cooking was their thing, their bond, their joy. Every evening after work, Lilian dropped her bag and called out, Chef David, report to the kitchen. And he would run inside, tie a small towel around his neck like an apron, and announce, Mommy, today I will teach you something. He was little, but he paid attention. He knew how she cracked eggs, how she stirred the tea, and how she handled the kettle. He had watched her so many times that his little mind believed he could do it too. So that morning, after she snapped at him the third time, he whispered to himself, Mommy is busy today. I'll make my own tea. He dragged the big chair, climbed on it, reached the kettle, poured the water, turned on the stove, cracked the eggs, and they fried beautifully. He smiled. He was proud. He was so sure Mommy would be happy until the kettle slipped. Lilian didn't think. She didn't breathe. She just grabbed the first clean clothes she saw, wrapped his arm lightly, and kept whispering, It's okay, baby. I'm here. I'm here. I've got you. Don't worry. I'm here now. But she wasn't okay. She wasn't calm. Her heart was racing so fast it scared her. Just an hour earlier, she was sitting cross-legged on her bed, hair messy, still wearing her old t-shirt, staring at her phone like her life depended on it. She had opened 3 shopping apps all at once. Phones, TVs, blenders, shoes, children's tablets. All of them looked like opportunities she couldn't afford to miss. Black Friday had swallowed her whole the moment she woke up. She had been under pressure for months. Rent, school fees, groceries, her colleagues flashing new phones every 2 months. People on Instagram posting unboxing videos every weekend. She felt stuck, like life was moving for everyone else except her. So when she saw 40% off here, 60% off there, limited deal, banners popping up everywhere, she felt like life was finally giving her a chance. She wasn't thinking about needs. She wasn't thinking about savings. She wasn't thinking about her son. She was thinking, for once, let me also have nice things. David came to her 3 times that morning. Mommy, can I eat? Mommy, see my drawing. Mommy, are you coming to the kitchen? Every time she waved him off, eyes glued to the phone. David, please, not now. Not now, I'm busy. Go and watch cartoons. Busy doing what? Comparing discounts, refreshing pages, arguing with herself about whether she should buy the new phone or the bigger one. By the 4th time he came, she snapped louder than she intended. David, please! Can you just let me focus for once? He apologized softly and walked away. That replayed in her head as she rushed him out of the house. The ride to the hospital was quiet. He cried all the way there. not loud, not dramatic. That quiet, painful cry where the child is too exhausted to scream again. Lilian kept telling him, "Hold on, baby, we're almost there." She couldn't even feel her legs, or her face, or her fingers, and the guilt sat heavy inside her chest, like a stone she couldn't push away. She kept whispering, "God, please, please, please," even though she wasn't sure what she was asking for. When they got to the hospital, nurses rushed him in immediately. The doctor came in not long after, took one look at the burns and said, "These are second-degree burns. We need to treat it now." Then he looked at her, not angrily, not harshly, but in a way that made her feel naked. "What happened?" he asked. Her mouth went dry. I wasn't there. I didn't see it happen." "That's the problem," he said quietly before walking out of the room. She felt her cheeks burn, not from embarrassment, but from shame. While David was being treated, she stepped outside for a minute to breathe because she felt like she was going to faint. Her phone buzzed non-stop in her hand. She didn't bother to check it. The doctor assures her he will be fine. But some minutes later, the bill hit her like a slap. That was when she finally checked her phone, and her heart almost stopped. "Payment successful, order confirmed, your package is on the way." 6 different notifications, all money she needed in that moment, all gone. She opened her banking app. She scrolled, transaction after transaction from her Black Friday shopping spree. She sat down slowly on the bench outside the ward and whispered to herself, "Oh God, what have I done?" She opened the shopping app to cancel the orders. Every single one said shipped, no refund option, no cancellation button. She called customer care immediately. "Please, I need to cancel my orders. It was a mistake." The agent interrupted, monotone, "Ma'am, Black Friday orders are non-refundable. They process instantly." "No, please, you don't understand. My son is in the hospital. I need my money back." "I'm sorry, ma'am. There is nothing we can do. Please, I'm begging you. Ma'am, the system won't allow me." She hung up and covered her face with both hands. She messaged everyone she knew. Some replied, "Oh, sorry. So sorry, dear. I hope he gets better." Sending hugs. Sending hugs? What was she supposed to do with that? She tried calling people she'd helped before. Nobody picked. She remembered a friend who owed her $400. Money she had been too embarrassed to ask for again. She sent a message anyway. "Please, my son is in the hospital. I need help. If you have even half of the money you owe me, please send it, please." The friend replied hours later, "Oh, sorry dear. I don't have right now. When I get, I will send." No empathy, no urgency. Lilian tries calling, no answer. She calls again and again, but the friend ignores her. She sits in the hospital bench, her eyes swollen, her phone on her lap, whispering to herself, "Why do people change once they owe you? Why do they act like you are begging them for what is yours?" That night, David was finally asleep, but she wasn't. She sat on the chair beside his bed, staring at him, feeling like she had failed him in the worst way possible. She held his small hand and whispered, "I'm so sorry, baby. I should have been there." Her tears fell quietly, one after another. Days pass, but the hospital refuses to discharge them until the bills are cleared. He keeps asking, "Mommy, when are we going home? I miss my bed." She forces a smile. "Soon, baby, soon, very soon." But every night, when he sleeps, she prays in tears, "God, please, forgive me for my carelessness. Please, send us help." That night, David wakes briefly, sees her crying and whispers quietly, "God, please, help my mommy. Please, send us help." Then, he closes his eyes and sleeps. The next morning felt like just another day of stress until she heard footsteps and soft voices coming down the hallway. A group of volunteers, an NGO, working from one room to another, checking bills, helping families who couldn't pay. A nurse stopped them at David's door. "Sir, ma'am, please, hear this one." Lilian didn't know whether to sit, stand, or disappear when the volunteers stepped into the room. She forced a smile because She didn't want anyone thinking she was irresponsible, but her eyes were swollen, her voice dry, and her whole face gave her away. The woman in the front didn't waste time. She simply walked towards David, bent slightly, and touched his good shoulder. "How are you, champ?" David gave a weak smile, tired but okay. Lilian watched his reaction carefully, relieved he wasn't panicking around strangers. Unlike earlier, this room felt lighter. Not perfect, not fixed, but less heavy. The nurse gave the volunteers a brief summary, not dramatic, not exaggerated, just the medical facts and the need for daily dressing. Nobody asked Lilian, "Where were you?" Nobody asked, "Why wasn't he supervised?" Nobody tried to blame her. They understood what many overwhelmed parents go through. Sometimes life pulls you so many directions that even good intentions slip through cracks. The woman turned to Lilian with a soft, steady tone. "So, what's going on with you financially? The hospital said you are trying to sort out the bill." This was the first time someone asked without judgment, just a simple, direct question. Lilian took a breath. "I've used up all my savings," she said, eyes dropping slightly. "I didn't expect to need it. I wasn't prepared for this." She didn't give details. She didn't need to. The woman nodded as if she already understood what "used up all my savings" really meant. People make financial mistakes when they are stressed. People buy things to feel better. People try to keep up even when they are drowning. Nobody sat there trying to moralize our situation. "All right," the woman said gently. "We'll see how to support you." That was it. No interrogation, no pity, no judgment, just human decency. The volunteers gave David a small coloring book they had in their bag. Nothing fancy, just something to cheer him up. When he opened it, he whispered "thank you" in that shy way kids do when they are trying not to cry again. Then, they stepped outside to speak with the hospital admin. Lilian expected them to be gone for only a few minutes, but the conversation took nearly 15 minutes. She didn't interrupt, she didn't pace around. She just sat beside David, helping him color a picture of a lion. She needed that normal moment. Both of them needed it. When the volunteers returned, the atmosphere shifted instantly. The woman leading them walked closer and said, "We've sorted the bill." Lilian blinked, unsure she had right. "The full bill?" She repeated. "You are cleared. You and your son can go home as soon as the doctor approves his discharge." Lilian covered her mouth. Her body shook in the quietest, most grateful way. "Thank you," she whispered, voice barely stable. "Thank you so much." She didn't cry loudly. There was no dramatic hugging, just a mother overwhelmed by kindness she didn't expect. Before they left, the woman handed her a small envelope. "This is for groceries. You will need food when you get home, and David will need to eat well." Lilian didn't open the envelope. She didn't need to. She knew it was help she didn't ask for, but desperately needed. She stood, shook their hands properly, and promised she would use the help wisely. They left quietly, the kind of people who didn't come to be praised, recorded, or announced. They simply came to help and moved on. Later that evening, the doctor came in with a less tense tone than before. "His arm is responding very well. He'll be okay," he said. "It's just to keep the dressing clean and bring him for follow-up twice a week." Lilian nodded. She finally breathed fully for the first time since the accident. Once they were alone again, Lilian took a deep breath and sat beside her son. "You scared me," she said softly. David looked at her, worried he was in trouble. "Sorry, Mommy." "No, baby, I'm not scolding you. I'm just glad you're okay." He nodded and leaned on her arm. Then he said, "I'll wait for you next time. I won't touch the stove again." That simple sentence made her feel two things at once, gratitude and responsibility. She stroked his hair gently. "I will also do better," she whispered to him. "I promise." When night came, the hospital became quieter. Other parents left food trays on tables. Nurses walked by occasionally. TVs played softly in the background. Lilian sat on the edge of the bed and opened her banking app again. She needed to face the reality she had brushed aside earlier. Her account was still almost empty. The purchases she made that morning were still listed. But unlike earlier, she didn't cry. She accepted it. She locked her phone and whispered, "This won't happen again." Just when she was about to sleep, her phone rang. It was someone she didn't expect, an old colleague who hadn't spoken to her in months. "Lilian, I just heard what happened. Are you guys okay?" For a moment, she froze. Not because the person called, but because someone finally did. "Yes, we are okay now," she said. "We are going home tomorrow." Her colleague asked about David, asked about the bills, asked about the stress at work, and for the first time that day, Lilian had a conversation that didn't drain her. Her colleague didn't offer money, and Lilian didn't expect any. What she needed in that moment was exactly what she got. Someone who cared enough to check. When she ended the call, she smiled faintly, something she hadn't done since morning. David woke briefly, tugged her hand gently, and said, "Mommy, are we going home tomorrow?" "Yes, baby," she whispered, "we are going home." He nodded, closed his eyes, and murmured, "Thank you, God, for helping us." Lilian felt her throat tighten in the best way possible. The next day, as they walked out of the hospital, the sun felt brighter. Lilian held David's hands with more care than ever before. The worst was over. They were going home. When they got home, the first thing Lilian felt wasn't relief. It was awkward silence. The house looked exactly how they left it, but she didn't feel like the same person walking into it. David went straight to the couch and curled up carefully, trying not to bump his bandaged arm. He looked tired in the way kids look when their bodies are fighting to heal. Lilian removed her shoes, washed her hands, and just stood there for a moment looking at her living room, thinking, this could have turned out differently. But she didn't stay in that thought. David needed her, and bills didn't care about regrets. The first real reminder of life returning to normal was her phone vibrating non-stop. This time, it wasn't Black Friday notifications. It was delivery updates. Your package is in transit. Your order is out for dispatch. Expect delivery today. Reality landed like a slap. The items she bought when her brain was running on stress and adrenaline, they were all now on the way. She put her phone down and sighed. No dramatic reaction, no crying, just a simple realization, I have to face this. Around 2 p.m., someone knocked on the door. When Lilian opened it, a delivery rider stood there with a medium-sized box. He checked his list. "Madam Lilian?" She nodded slowly. He handed her the box and left. Just like that, a reminder of her mistake placed in her hands. She didn't even open it. She just set it aside, sat beside David, and rested her head on the back of the couch. He turned slightly towards her. "Mommy, is that for me?" She smiled at him, a real soft smile. "No, baby. What's for you is the food we are about to cook together." Lilian helped him into the kitchen, made sure the chair was far from anything hot, and let him talk her through what he wanted to cook. He insisted on supervising. She let him. He pointed with his good hand. "Mommy, the onions first, then the noodles." She obeyed like he was the one in charge. He giggled when the onions made her blink. It wasn't a big moment, nothing dramatic, but it was the first time in 2 days she felt steady again. When they finished cooking, he did something unexpected. He whispered, "Mommy, thank you for staying with me." That one line carried more healing than anything. After eating, she put David to sleep and sat down with her phone. This time, she wasn't panicking, she was planning. Lilian woke up the next morning grateful. David was already awake, sitting up on the couch, watching her with sleepy eyes. "Good morning, Mommy." She smiled. "Good morning, my baby. How is your arm?" He lifted it slightly. "It still hurts, but not like yesterday." That alone made her exhale with relief. She made simple breakfast, bread and tea, and sat with him while he ate slowly. At exactly 10:17 a.m., she heard a bike horn outside. She froze. She already knew what it was. The delivery man knocked at her door. Her heart sank. David looked at her. "Mommy, someone is knocking." She walked outside and saw him holding a box with her name written boldly on top. "Sign here." She signed. He handed her the box, the new blender she needed. No excitement, no joy. She carried it inside and placed it by the wall quietly. Another knock, not even an hour later. This time, the box was bigger. "Madam, your smart TV." She blinked. The TV, the most expensive mistake. The rider looked tired. He had no idea the story behind the delivery, and he didn't need to. She signed again. He left. David walked over curiously. "Mommy, what's inside?" She knelt beside him and touched his cheek. "TV." He nodded gently. By noon, the phone arrived, the shoes arrived, the tablet arrived, the slippers arrived, the non-stick pan also arrived, all delivered. Her living room looked like a mini shop. She simply sat on the floor, staring at everything she bought out of stress, all stacked neatly, while her real priorities sat beside her on the couch with a bandaged arm. David climbed down slowly and sat next to her. "Mommy, do we have money now?" She shook her head. "No, baby, we don't." He looked at the boxes, his eyebrow lifted slightly like he was confused. "So, all these things came and we don't have money?" "Yes." Her voice cracked a little. "That's why we have to be careful. Mistakes are expensive." He leaned on her shoulder quietly, processing in his innocent way. She took his hand gently. "David, I'm going to tell you the truth. The day you got hurt, I wasn't busy with work. I was just shopping, and I didn't listen when you called me." He looked up at her, not angry, not hurt, just curious. "Why didn't you listen?" Lilian swallowed. "Because I was trying to make myself feel better with things. I forgot the one thing that mattered most." He rested his head on her arm again, as if he understood more than he should. "It's okay, Mommy. I didn't want to disturb you." She hugged him gently. "No, baby, you are never a disturbance." Later in the evening, David walked into the kitchen and asked, "Mommy, can we cook something again? But let me just watch you this time." She laughed softly. "Come on, chef, let's do it." They made beans and plantain. He watched every step, asked questions, giggled when the plantain sizzled. Lilian kept glancing at him, grateful he was still himself, playful, talkative, bright. This time, there was no distraction, no phone in her hand, no shopping notifications screaming for attention, just the two of them. After dinner, she sat on the couch with him, sleeping peacefully beside her. She looked at the stack of Black Friday items again, not with regret, not with self-hate, just with clarity. She whispered quietly, "I almost bought everything except peace, but now I know better." She had her child, she had another chance, and she had a lesson, sharp, painful, unforgettable. She thought Black Friday would upgrade her life. Instead, it humbled her. And in the middle of her mistake, she found something stronger than any discount: gratitude, clarity, and a second chance to be present. I hope you enjoyed this story. Give it a like and also share it with your friends and your family. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.